Okay, so day two of Ravens organized team activities is now complete, and I wanted to walk you through what you may have missed coming up in this episode, which is brought to you by Primary Residential Mortgage. And right now, PRMI wants to know if you're looking to buy a home this summer. Maybe you're ready to get pre approved, you don't know how much to afford. The mortgage professionals at PRMI understand that navigating the home buying process can be overwhelming, and that's why they're here to help every step of the way with a quick and easy pre-approval process and tailored guidance to go along with it. You can discover your buying power and shop with confidence. And right now, an exclusive incentive is available to you as a Bobby Baltimore subscriber. Until July 1st of this upcoming summer, Primary Residential Mortgage is going to cover the cost of your appraisal up to $550. You can redeem that by applying to the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. Just mention my name as you go throughout the process and consider taking the first step towards your dream home. You can contact PRMI today or visit their website in the show notes to learn more. PRMI is an equal housing lender, NMLS 3094. And with that, I'm glad you're here. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond, and welcome inside the channel. Let's get right to it. It was this from Lamar Jackson on day two of Ravens OTAs on a hot and steamy day in Owings Mills, Maryland, that kind of got the conversation started. And boy, oh boy, how much can change in a year, right? The conversation surrounding Lamar a year ago was all contractual related stuff. Would he be at OTAs? Would he participate? Should he be there? Why isn't he there to start? Yada, yada, yada. This year, it's about his weight. And as he told the media today, I'm 2 something, meaning 200 pounds something. He said it's to help him feel more mobile and agile, as compiled here by Gianna Hahn of the Baltimore Banner. His goal, to use his words, is, quote, just under 230, to be just under 230 pounds. Zay Flowers weighing in, quote, he looks good to me, but he looked different when he first showed up. I couldn't really tell it was him because he was so skinny, but he looked good. Kind of similar to what Isaiah Likely shared with Kay Adams recently on her show. Now, what do I think the sneaky admission here is? Try to stay with me here. And you let me know if you think it's a reach. Lamar's not going to come out and share publicly things like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't comfortable at my past playing weight, or I felt like I lost a step, or I felt like I wasn't as fast as I once was. He's not going to say those things. But to me, ever so slightly, this is a sneaky admission because we all remember what took place last year. Yeah, he was great en route to a second MVP in 6 years. But you know what we didn't see as much? Those breakaway runs, those see you later type of runs in space. Don't get me wrong. We saw a ton of greatness. We still saw elusiveness, especially in those short yardage, lateral type of quickness areas, right? Whether it's behind the line of scrimmage or, tucking it and running, which he didn't do a whole lot of that naturally within the first year of Todd Monken's offense. We'll see if that changes given the amount of playmaking around him. Um, and the more comfortable he becomes within the confines of Todd's offense now in year two. But I think this is sort of saying, like, even if it is like a quarter of a step in his mind behind closed doors that he felt like he maybe lost, or it could just be a comfort thing, right? When you're one of one like Lamar Jackson, you know your movement, you know your body better than anybody. And your body and your movement and your physique is more important than anything. And so I trust Lamar's judgment. I know John Harbaugh shared that as well, that sentiment during his OTA media session. And I think this is going to be a good thing moving forward. I'm not worried about the durability. I'm not worried about, protecting himself and making sure he's in football shape. Lamar's earned the right for us to trust his offseason workout regimens. I know some of you are out there thinking, well, what about his 2 injury-riddled seasons? I don't see them as being related. Those are flukes. And as we learned last year, they weren't repeated trends. Thank God. Knock on wood moving forward for Lamar. So the mobility, the agility, those 2 words come to mind that Lamar himself used. And again, I'm not saying he really thinks that they're was something groundbreaking about his playing weight from last year or something that was alarming. I'm just saying he knows himself better than anybody. And the fact that he's taken these strides and clearly shown up slimmer, skinnier, right? And overall, just not smaller, but just leaner than in years past. And in particular, this past season, I think it's absolutely calculated. I think it's intentional. Clearly, he's telling you that. And I think the message is that, hey, I don't feel like I was at my best last year. And yet, here he is as a two-time MVP and a reigning most valuable player in this league of just talent littered all throughout. So, interesting stuff. Let me know what you think. You let me know in the comment section whether or not you think that's a reach or along the lines of where Lamar is at, describing wise, you think it might be on par. Mark Andrews. Oh, by the way, we'll get to the OTA attendance in just a bit, which was stellar for this time of year. Again, this is voluntary organized team activities. Bo Smolka from Press Box documented that while the Ravens field goal team worked on alignment during one of the OTA periods, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely huddled together and reviewed some plays on a tablet, and then Likely ran a short route as the two discussed a play. It's easy to see Andrews' influence and how these two could be a handful. That from Bo Smolka out there having a great little vantage point and view as one of the credentialed media members. We all know, I've mentioned it many times, if Isaiah and Mark can both flourish and both coexist within Todd Monken's offense, the Ravens are going to be better for it. Lamar Jackson is going to be better for it. And that tight end room, boy, is going to be tough to stop. How about Keaton Mitchell, running back working his way back from last year's knee injury? John Harbaugh says that he is, quote, on schedule in his recovery from that torn ACL that he suffered late in week 15. He will not be back for training camp, okay? And he's not expected until, quote, sometime during the season. It's not like right around the corner. So nothing really surprising or new about this. The timetable is very much up in the air. It's fluid, and I wouldn't hold your breath on this. I'm hoping for the first half of the season. But if they're rolling and Derrick Henry's getting the job done and Justice Hill is backing him up well, and Rasheen Ali, the rookie out of Marshall, is contributing, then why rush Keaton back? He's too important, right? He's too important to the longevity and the overall formula of what this upcoming season looks like in Baltimore's backfield. A little flavor, the home run hitter. Here's your attendance. Jamison Hensley compiled a few of the notable absences from Wednesday's, again, voluntary. I want to make that clear. Voluntary organized team activity. Nelson Aguilar, Deontay Hardy, Keaton Mitchell, like I mentioned, Patrick McCary, Marcus Williams, Kyle Van Noy, Adisa Isaac. That's a hamstring setback that he's dealing with. Justin Tucker and Michael Pierce was there, but he watched practice off to the side. So, again, a lot of these are veterans. The rookie has a hamstring. Keaton Mitchell obviously is working his way back from the knee setback. And then the other guys that aren't mentioned here are 90-man guys, undrafted rookies who are either a long shot to make the roster or just, not exactly relevant enough to share. So nothing crazy, but the biggest takeaway here should be attendance was notable. Attendance was impressive. And you get the sense that this team understands collectively what's at stake, given the way that they're built, the way that they're structured. John Harbaugh also talked about Jamal Adams, who visited the Ravens yesterday, the former All-Pro safety who spent the last several years in Seattle. Harb says, quote, at the Pro Bowl like 4 years ago, he and I rode the bus back and forth every day for whatever reason. We got to be pals. We had a fun time and carried that relationship forward. He met with me in my office during the visit. I'm very impressed with his mindset, and we'll see what happens. So obviously you probably by now have seen yesterday's video that I released questioning some character concerns when it comes to Jamal Adams, questioning how much he's fallen off, both availability and performance-wise in recent years. But Tony Jefferson, who's a member of the Ravens scouting department, coming off his first year as an intern, former Ravens safety, somebody who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, seems to think different in terms of the overall fit. He quote tweeted all 22 films of looking at Jamal and said, good fit for the Ravens. And then somebody asked Tony, well, where do you see him playing? Because I see him as a dime, second and long, third down situations, big nickel. There's plenty of packages. You can still move Kyle Hamilton around as needed. Now, all 22 films took a look at Jamal, and they said they could offer Jamal could offer the Ravens another option as a nickel defensive back, stacking with Hamilton, Mollett, Humphrey as possible slot defenders. So he's got 21 and a half sacks in his career, 7 forced fumbles. It's been a long time, though, since he's contributed in those areas. And I guess that's my concern. Good, solid breakdown there, though, from all 22 film. And obviously, Tony Jefferson's opinion deserves to be mentioned here because he is just getting his scouting department underway. And he was kind enough to join us for about 30 to 40 minutes on the night of the schedule release a couple weeks ago. So interesting stuff there. We'll have to follow to see if anything gets done between now and training camp. Clearly, he left Baltimore without a deal. At least that's what it looks like. But we know that they are in the veteran safety market, and I think they should be too, to give them depth and more flexibility on the back end. Zay Flowers was asked about the AFC Championship game. Of course, that costly fumble at the goal line is something that will be talked about and remembered in Baltimore for a long time. And Zay hasn't stopped thinking about it either. Quote, honestly, I still ain't over it yet. I still think about it. I know next year we have a chance to get back there and try to make it to the Super Bowl. That's why I'm working hard every day and going hard every day to get back to that moment. I hope he just uses it as motivation and doesn't allow it to completely overconsume him or overwhelm him as he gets ready for his second NFL season. But I think channeling that correctly from a motivational standpoint could actually be really helpful for number 4. And this was pretty hysterical right here. One little finisher, Rashad Bateman. I like this Rashad Bateman. He's been having fun on social media of late. Brett Mason said, my wife left me once already over Rashad Bateman. She did eventually come back to me, but now what am I supposed to do? And this was in response to a breakdown of a podcast that was essentially saying, hey, we're getting back on the Rashad Bateman train. We love what we've seen from him. We still think he can be a guy for the Ravens. Anyway, it was a good breakdown. But Bateman quote tweets Brett and says, you got to leave, bro. You got to leave your wife. I thought that was hysterical. Again, just a funny tweet there from Bate. And I think playful Rashad Bateman is somebody that I can get behind. Doesn't take himself too seriously, has fun, getting ready for his 4th season, which is going to be a big one. And of course, he got that new extension just a few weeks back. Thanks to Allie Mills and Brian Spar for supporting me through Patreon this month. This month. I appreciate you both for supporting me and believing in me and helping me out on this ongoing build here in Baltimore through all my digital platforms. So appreciate you guys. If you're interested in doing the same, visit patreon.com/Bobby Trosset to learn more. All that information can be found in the show notes below. If you want to get your home buying process started in life, consider reaching out to Primary Residential Mortgage, which is also in the show notes. And a special thanks to PRMI for sponsoring this episode. I'll talk to you guys soon.